Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we are going to embark on a complete masterclass on building passive income streams. Seriously, if you've ever felt like you're just working harder and harder but not actually getting any closer to true financial freedom, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're breaking down the core life-changing lessons of Robert Kiyosaki's financial philosophies. We're going to turn those profound insights into a clear step-by-step guide to building lasting wealth. So, let's get right into it. I want you to ask yourself honestly right now. Are you carrying buckets or are you building a pipeline? Most of us spend our entire lives just lifting heavy buckets. We work endlessly for a paycheck, pay our bills, and then wake up to do it all over again. The problem is, if you stop carrying those buckets, the water literally stops flowing. But what if, instead of carrying buckets, you spent your time building a pipeline, a system that eventually pumps water directly to you, even while you're fast asleep? That right there is the true essence of passive income. To get us from carrying buckets to owning a pipeline, here is our 6-step roadmap. Number 1, the rat race trap. 2, adopt the wealth mindset. 3, master financial literacy. 4, build your asset column. 5, protect and scale wealth. And finally, number 6, execute your action plan. Okay, let's dive into this. Step 1, the rat race trap. Most adults are actually stuck inside an invisible cage, and well, you can't escape a trap if you don't even know you're in one. You work for a paycheck, you pay your bills, you might buy a few luxuries just to feel good, and then you repeat the whole process until you retire. This is exactly what Kiyosaki calls the rat race, and it's fueled by two incredibly powerful human emotions: fear and greed. Fear of not being able to pay the bills keeps you chained to a job you might not even like. Then, when you finally do get a raise, greed and temptation take over. You upgrade your car, you get a bigger house, and suddenly your expenses rise right alongside your income. A higher income in this cycle doesn't lead to true wealth. It literally just leads to carrying bigger buckets. Step 2, adopt the wealth mindset. Breaking out of that cycle requires a massive fundamental shift in how you view work and money. The core philosophy is simple yet totally profound. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. To really understand this, let's jump back to 1956. A 9-year-old Robert Kiyosaki and his friend Mike wanted to learn how to make money. Mike's father, who Kiyosaki famously calls his rich dad, agreed to teach them, but definitely not with textbooks. He put them to work dusting shelves in his convenience store for a meager 10 cents an hour. It was tedious, it was boring. Eventually, Rich Dad decided to test their resolve. He offered them 25 cents, then $1, and finally a whopping $5 an hour. Now, for a 9-year-old in 1956, $5 an hour was an astronomical temptation. But Robert and Mike, they stayed quiet. They absolutely refused the temptation of a massive, immediate paycheck. Because they passed that test, Rich Dad hit them with something totally unexpected. He told them to keep working, but to do it completely for free. And the logic here was brilliant. When you are entirely dependent on a paycheck, your vision narrows. You only see the hourly wage. But when you aren't blinded by the immediate need for a paycheck, your brain just kind of opens up. You start seeing real business opportunities that everyone else is just walking right past. And this brilliantly illustrates the payoff of that mindset shift. Working for free in that store, the boys noticed the distributor was just throwing away old comic books. So they negotiated to keep the discarded comics, and they opened up a comic book library right in Mike's basement. They charged kids 10 cents for 2 hours of reading and hired Mike's sister to manage the whole shebang. The result? They made $9.50 a week. Even when they weren't physically there, the money just kept coming in. At 9 years old, they had built their very first pipeline. Let's move to and see how this builds into step 3, master financial literacy. That comic book library is a perfect example of an asset. But listen, you cannot build a skyscraper on a 6-inch foundation. If you don't learn how to manage money, even if you win the lottery tomorrow, you're going to lose it all. So what is the single most important rule that traditional schooling completely forgot to teach us? What is the actual difference between an asset and a liability? It's astonishingly simple. An asset puts money in your pocket. Think rent income, dividends, interest. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Car loans, credit card debt. The poor only have expenses. The middle class buys liabilities that they falsely believe are assets. But the wealthy buy true assets. And that leads us to perhaps the most controversial punch of Kiyosaki's entire philosophy. Your house is a liability. I know, that goes against literally everything we've been taught. But just look at the math.
A primary residence takes money out of your pocket every single month. You've got mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Plus, all the capital tied up in that house is capital that isn't out there working for you in true income-generating investments.
So, if a big house doesn't make you wealthy, what does? We need to completely redefine wealth. Wealth isn't some massive net worth number on a piece of paper. Wealth is measured in time. Think about it. How many days can you survive if you just stopped working today? The moment your passive income from your assets exceeds your monthly living expenses, you are truly financially free.
Step 4. Build your asset column.
To actually build this column, you have to realize the difference between your profession and your actual business. Think about this question for a second. What business is McDonald's in? Years ago, Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, asked a group of MBA students this exact question. They all laughed. Obviously, McDonald's is in the hamburger business, right? Wrong. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the reality of the McDonald's empire. Ray Kroc told those students that his business was not hamburgers, it was real estate. McDonald's is literally one of the largest real estate owners in the entire world. The hamburger was just the bait to secure the most valuable intersections in every town across America. Your day job, whether you're a chef, an engineer, or a banker, that is your profession, it pays the bills. But your business is your asset column. So what should you actually be building? Well, here is a concrete checklist directly from the source material. You should be putting your hard-earned money into businesses that don't require your physical presence to run. You should be buying stocks, bonds, rent-yielding real estate, royalties from intellectual property like music or patents, and notes. This is your asset column. This is your pipeline.
Step 5. Protect and scale wealth.
Once you start building that column, this is where the rich really pull away from everyone else, because they understand the rules of the game on a much deeper level. The wealthy don't just wait around for opportunities, they invent them through deep financial intelligence. Furthermore, they understand the history of taxes and corporations. While everyday employees earn money, pay huge taxes, and try to live on what's left, the rich use corporate structures. Corporations earn, spend everything they possibly can on expenses, and then only pay taxes on what is left over. By mastering these advanced strategies, the wealthy legally minimize their tax burdens and protect the pipelines they've worked so hard to build.
Step 6. Execute your action plan.
Okay, so we've covered the mindset, the literacy, the assets, and the protection. But honestly, none of this theory matters at all without execution. Before you take action, you must be aware of the enemies waiting to sabotage you: fear, laziness, bad habits, and greed. You are often your own biggest obstacle. Overcoming the fear of losing money, breaking the laziness of just relying on a comfortable paycheck, and conquering the bad habit of spending everything you earn are the absolute prerequisites for success. So, the crucial point is how you reward yourself. The poor and middle class want to look rich immediately, so they buy luxuries first, usually on credit, which just drives them deeper into the rat race. But the truly wealthy, they are incredibly disciplined. They buy their assets first, they build the pipeline. And only when that asset column generates enough passive income do they use that specific income to buy their luxury cars and vacations. The luxury is the reward for building the asset, not the cause of their debt. We've laid out the entire blueprint today, the difference between assets and liabilities, the danger of the rat race, and the exact types of investments that build a pipeline. So I want to leave you with one final urgent question. What will you build tomorrow to let your money work for you? Will you keep carrying the buckets, or will you start laying the pipes? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I seriously can't wait to see the pipelines you build.